In a world that's bright, come take a seat on the bean. We gather where laughter meets. Every Tuesday's a trip. Come share your flair. In this warm embrace, there's love everywhere. Talk it out, all vibes alright. Nobody's wrong in our light tonight. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. From stories of pride to journeys of heart, we celebrate life, each unique part. A safe haven here, where spirits soar free. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. Let the colors shine bright in the warmth of the night. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. Let the colors shine bright in the warmth of the night. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. With each word we share, we bring the light. Join the talk show, let your heart take flight.
Hey guys, it's SayCo Alford from the SayCo Show. I hope you're doing great. I can't believe this, guys. It is show number 40 of this season 3. I cannot believe it. That means what? We probably have about 20 more Tuesdays before the end of the year. Wow. Time flies, especially now that I'm older. Time is flying. Talking about flying, I am leaving in the morning on a 2-day trip. And so I'll end up in Spokane, Washington State, and then I will be home day after tomorrow. So right now the house is kind of in chaos, and I'm pre-packing. And but the good thing is it's a PM trip, so I get to sleep in tomorrow morning. But I am super excited to say that season 3 has been such a blessing. And although there's been peaks and valleys, y'all have stuck with me, and I'm so appreciative to all of you. Also, we're getting a lot more hits and downloads, which is really exciting. Being on the other platforms has really helped. I'm starting to get a lot more feedback and emails and text messages, show ideas. So to the folks that reached out this past week or two, I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun getting to know y'all. A couple people sent in some text messages just expressing sadness and regret for my father's passing. You guys are amazing. You know who you are. Thank you for reaching out and just, letting me hear all that. I can feel the support. Trust me. Today, we are talking about a really cool AI project, and that's what tonight's topic is about. But first off, let me just get this off my chest, because y'all know that I use a lot of AI for a lot of the show posters and whatnot. And I've always been very open about that. That, it's not me sitting in front of a computer on some sort of, artistic, program trying to get all these show posters out. It would take me hours and hours and hours to figure it out. So I do use AI for a lot of the show posters. And I'm going to say, guys, I know there are a lot of you out there that absolutely hate AI. And I know that with anything, there's good and bad. But sometimes I think AI kind of gets a bad rap. And so, I know that everything can go either way, with positivity or negativity. But AI has definitely been something that has been such a great surprise just in my life, creatively and personally. And so when something comes around, as far as in the AI universe, that really strikes a chord with me, because y'all know we're constantly talking about all things queer. A friend of mine reached out and said, have you heard about the new David Maddox AI film that's coming out? And I said, no, tell me about it. That's really cool, because I've heard some things where they're using AI to create new songs from artists that have already passed away. And I know that there are a lot of folks that are in charge of estates and legacy projects, etc., that they are very leery about AI, producing stuff that is wrong and false. And look, I get that. I've had discussions before with some folks. Patsy Cline's daughter Julie and I have talked, and she has stated that she's worried because the estate and the legacy of Patsy Cline owns, the family owns her name, her likeness, her recordings, etc. And so it's kind of scary because people are manipulating what's already out there in the web, universe. And when you start manipulating things, of course, you're going to have people that are going to do the right thing and do good. And then you're going to have people that are going to manipulate to try to prove that something's real when it's not authentic. And that's the place where you start thinking about how are copyright laws going to save the legacy of someone when they're gone and the family is fighting for what's left. And that's the hard part. That's the part that gets really tricky, because a lot of the laws right now, there's nothing you can do about it. It's really scary. But I know a lot of artists are fighting back, and they're getting provisions and things put in their will, etc., etc. They're lawyering up. You got to get these lawyers that know everything about AI. And they're trying to figure out how to put bans and blocks on some of these programs that are manipulating either people's likeness or voice, what have you. And I say kudos to that. Absolute kudos. AI has helped me in so many ways of my personal life with knowledge and learning things, to a certain degree. But also, it's helped me with the podcast. It's helped me with creativity. And that's why I'm just such a fan. It blows my head about, everything that is going on in the world. You just wonder what AI is going to produce or expand to in a short amount of time. We always used to say, well, in 10 years or, well, in 20 years. Now we're just talking months. AI is so powerful now that you just kind of are constantly looking at the next 90 days to see what happens. And I do subscribe to a couple different AI programs, but basically I just use it for, restoring photos or creating photos. And by that, I mean for show posters and whatnot. And I've always been extremely open about that. I don't think there's any reason to fib or lie. One gentleman said, well, my gosh, don't you age? When he came across my podcast and I guess some of the podcast pictures, which I call show slides. It's what you're looking at while you're listening. And I said, well, I don't exactly look like that anymore. I'm using 3 pictures from last year, and AI uses those 3 pictures from a year or 2 ago to create a show poster for today. And I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm sure a lot of people in my real life are saying, Lord, you don't look like that, or that looks 10 pounds lighter, or whatever. And I just take it as being fun. I'm not really into a visual concept for this podcast. And I don't see myself doing video blogs or vlogs. And so, of course, it's very fun and easy to not comb my hair and not shave and record from home and still turn out a product that comes off fun and enjoyable, hopefully, for all. And so I love AI. I really do. I've seen some weird twisted stuff that you just go, well, Lord, that ain't real. But it's still interesting. And that's what always tweaks my ear to things, is if it's interesting, I'll listen to, most of it and make my own conclusions. But guys, tonight, I'm rattling on. I got to stay on point. Tonight, we're talking about something that I recently discovered. It's a remarkable project by David Maddox, like I said earlier. And it's an all AI created full-length motion picture designed to look and feel like a beautiful 1940s silver screen Technicolor film. And it's so exciting to me, the possibility of how we are going to be entertained in the future. As someone who loves old movies, I find the concept just absolutely fascinating. But what moves me most is not simply the Technicolor or the gorgeous vintage imagery that I've already seen in some of the clips that have been released, but it's also what the film represents. And that's what struck a chord to me. There's an extraordinary what if within the whole project that I'm really, really excited about. But let's talk about the 1940s. The year 1946 holds a particular significance in discussions of Christianity and the queer history, because the RSV Bible introduced the word homosexual into the English biblical translation. And wherever your theological interpretation is, or wherever those lie, that's great, and I respect that. It's impossible not to wonder how different American society might have been had generations of people not growing up hearing homosexuality described through such condemning language. What it would have been like, guys. It makes you wonder. Now imagine something entirely different happening during that same era, if you would. Imagine walking into a movie theater, and let's just use the middle 40s, 1946, and seeing two young men meet. They talk, they laugh, and they become fond of one another. And one asks the other on a date. And of course, throughout the silver screen movie, they court, they fall in love, they probably disagree, and then they make up, and ultimately they discover that they're happier together than apart. Nothing sinister, nothing evil, nothing strange or scandalous, just love. I grew up in the 1970s. I'm dating myself now. And meaningful representations of queer love, it was just certainly not something I remember seeing often on television or in movies. And queer people existed, of course. And our struggles and our uprisings eventually made headlines from San Francisco to New York. But simply seeing two people on the same screen and the same sex loving one another as naturally as anyone else, well, that's extraordinarily rare. I don't remember ever seeing anything like that as a kid growing up, because I was probably sheltered from it. But this is why David's project has touched me so deeply. It struck a chord in me. Because what if a frightened young queer boy sitting in a darkened theater in the 1940s had seen himself represented on that beautiful glowing silver screen in Technicolor? What if he had realized that he was not alone? And what if his parents or his neighbors, pastor, teacher, friends, had all seen that same type of movie? Queer people, well, we're not a modern invention, guys. Stories and history, well, it's filled with people whose relationships were described publicly. You remember when you were younger, people would kind of whisper or make a face as they said, well, you know, those people, they're companions, quote, quote, or they're roommates, or he's been a confirmed lifelong bachelor. But, you know, there's surviving photos and letters and personal histories that reveal our queer relationships far deeper than any of those labels suggested. We have always been here. And what David Maddox projects, well, what it cannot rewrite is history, but perhaps it can give us a glimpse of the history that we deserved. The film that could have existed. The stories that could have been told. And the lives that that could have been changed. I cannot wait to see the finished film. And for those of us who have loved cinema, much less vintage cinema, and have spent a lifetime imagining ourselves within those wonderful storylines in those beautiful old movies, this feels like more than an AI experiment. It feels like finally we'll be getting to see ourselves in vintage Technicolor. And perhaps, just perhaps, it would have changed minds then, or maybe it would change lives now. Maybe this film is coming so we can have more of a discussion on who we are, what we deserve, and to prove that love always wins, and also that we're not very different from anyone else. I long for a time where we will have more mainstream queer cinema. Now, I know that there's already a lot out there, and we should not, take that for granted. There's been millions and millions of dollars and, gosh, the hours. I can't imagine the time and the work that's been placed in some of these movies that we have today. But what I will say is this, and a lot of my friends, my best friend has told me we need to do a show on queer actors and the queer movies that came before us. And I've done a couple episodes here and there. I know I did a few when I was over on the radio station. But that would be a great show where we discuss queer cinema from the very beginning, way out in Europe and Germany, and all the way through, the time. And then also, kind of make sure that we go from A to Z as far as here in the United States with all the queer movies that have come out. But can you imagine, guys, if two lead famous actors agreed in the 40s to say, absolutely, we'll do this movie, and it would be released in Technicolor with the same PR and the same money behind it, and just letting the general public see that two men can fall in love. It's very natural. And be happy. I think back of all the queer cinema, that I've watched through my life, and it gave me such pride. But it also, it let me know that so many other eyes and minds and hearts were going to also see that movie. And they were going to see that I'm not so different. I'm not so strange. We're all human. We were all sent here for a reason. And there's really no reason for any of us to be so perplexed by what I do in my bedroom or what y'all do in yours. You know, I'll never forget the first time I held the guy's hand in public. It was out in the DC area. It just made me feel so alive and so free. And it's just one of those moments that you never forget. And you know, with heterosexual people, they've been allotted the freedoms in society to do whatever they want to do, whether that's hug, kiss, hold hands, etc. And no one ever makes a face to that. But there's been a few times where I absolutely wish I could have been holding my spouse's hand. And it's just times like that that you just wonder, gosh, where's our society going, you know? But maybe, just maybe, with this new full-length feature film, maybe it will open hearts and minds, guys. And that's really all that we can strive for and hope for, is that more and more content, whether with real actors or with AI actors, will produce something that will finally snap, and it will normalize what other humans get out of love and happiness. Now, I want to read to you the description. It's just a couple sentences released on David Maddox's social media. And if you would, you've got to go and watch it, guys. He's released a clip. And this is what above the clip says. He's on Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. David, D-A-V-I-D, last name Maddox, M-A-D-D-U-X. It says, here's a scene from a full-length film in progress, created with the C-Dance 2.5 in Higgsfield AI. I'm studying and styling this closely after a 1940s 3-strip Technicolor film of Vincent Minnelli. From this perspective, what would a golden age Hollywood film look like in a world where a pair of male romantic leads was no issue? The clip is amazing. It's the two men out by a lake, and they have their shoes kicked off, and it looks very vintage retro just by their clothing and whatnot. And they're just talking with one another. One guy asked the other, what would happen if we went to Lady So-and-so's party together? And the other guy said, well, what are you asking? Are you asking me on a date? And they kind of laugh with each other. The background scenery and the tree branch moving with the wind, it just makes it look so incredibly real. And then he says, you know what, enough questions with that. And they lean in and they kiss. But the music, the coloring, everything about it is oh so AI, but also it's so vintage and beautiful. And then coming from my queer perspective, it's something that I would have loved to have seen as a child. If more of these elements would have been in my everyday life, I wouldn't have been such a basket case and suicidal and self-loathing for all those teenage years where I really, really struggled to stay on the planet. And I think more projects like this would just save so many lives, guys. It really, really, really would. But hopefully with a video full-length movie like this, that it's really going to produce a concept that's going to make people stop in their tracks and scratch their head. But the clip is absolutely beautiful. I so hope you go and you find it. If you want to text me, I'll send you the link so you can watch the clip as well. It's right around a minute, and it's just beautiful, and it's just so well done. And to just the everyday Joe, this is going to look extremely real. I've already kind of figured out what sounds AI, what looks AI. I've already, done enough research myself to realize when I go, nope, this is not real. And sometimes it's very obvious, and sometimes it is not. But in this case, it's so beautifully and tastefully well done that it just made me stop in my tracks. I love every second of it. And just imagine what our lives would have been growing up. Just today, I was discussing something with an 8th grader. And I was doing the whole discussion thing with him. What are you going to do with your life? And this is your last fun year. Once you get to high school, you got to start thinking about college or trades or what you're going to do long term, et cetera, et cetera. And after we discussed all his classes and what he's going to do with his life, I asked him, so do you have gay friends? And he said, yes. I said, are they bullied? Do they have a hard time, or are they popular? And he said, it's the same. It's everyone's the same. I said, is it gay guys or lesbian girls or queer non-binary, or what are we talking? And he said, a little bit of everything. I have gay people in all my classes, and maybe their struggles are, private or whatnot, but he said, no one teases them. They don't have a hard time, in my opinion. And I'm around a lot of them all day long. And some of them are my friends. And I said, that's really great to hear, because when I was in school, it was a completely different story. But then again, we yearn for some sort of validation. We yearn to be placed in the normalcy box, whatever normal is. And that's what I yearned for. I was yearning for something, a television commercial, something that I could say, oh, wow, he's like me. The one thing that I do remember, and I've said this before in other episodes, there was a comedian that was quite famous, and everyone knew that it was pretty well known that he was a homosexual. And he was such a crack up. He was just such a funny man. But anytime he was on a TV show in my household, or a game show or whatever, I come from these loudmouth women, Greek, Spanish, Italian women that are loud and boisterous and cooking and laughing and eating. But whenever something feminine or homosexual would come into the room somehow, they kind of quieted their voices, and they went, well, you know what they say about him. Well, you know what's known about him, or what I read about him, and it always got kind of hush-hush, and I thought, well, maybe that's me. Why are they getting so quiet about talking about him? And I often think about those situations, those things. There was another time that we were at a drive-through, and there was a gentleman that had longer nails, and which was very rare, because this was like 40 years ago, and longer hair, and had his eyebrows kind of tweezed and done. And I remember one of my family members going, ew, how weird. What a weirdo. Oh, gross. And I just really felt for the person that was serving us, because I'm sure all they wanted was love and kindness and respect. And maybe that's why I've been extremely careful in my queer adulthood to make sure that I pay homage. I respect the people that I'm standing on their shoulders. They cleared a path for me, so I wouldn't, delete myself. And I think it's very important, especially now to y'all, my listeners that are allies or queer. It's very, very important to know your queer history and to make sure everyone around you knows about the uprising and our past, because we have always been here from the very beginning. And the reason why I wanted to talk to y'all on a podcast and on the radio station show is because I wanted to have a platform where I could just be me and talk about my life and all things queer and discuss even fun ideas such as this gentleman's project about having a AI full-length, vintage-looking, complete long feature film. It's ideas and creativity like this that brings us closer, because when you discuss things, when you vent, when you hash, when you have a roundtable discussion, it broadens minds. It opens hearts. And the more that we talk about our pride, about how proud we are that we are still here, because we've always been here, it garners a factor of authenticity in the moment, right now, right here, where you are with that person that may not be as open-minded, right here in 2026. And we have to have these conversations as often as possible, because in this day and age, I mean, look at Turkey. Turkey just banned Netflix because they don't want queer movies playing in their country. Talk about a sick, twisted government in Turkey. We have got to maintain the uprising. Yes, it was started and it was a big, beautiful wave. We have to take it amongst ourselves, especially in this country. For those of you listening outside, you know that I live in the United States of America. And we have such a twisted system right now. And this hate was brewing. I believe the hate has always been there. But I think it festered those 8 years with Obama in the White House. And it created and bore out this cancer that is in our country right now and the current administration. And we must maintain the wave. It is our duty as queer people to continue the discussion and the fight. And when I say fight, I'm not talking physical, at least unless it's going to save your life. I'm talking with the vote. As long as we are talking and voting, things are going to get better. But y'all, I was so excited about this idea of a vintage-looking film and what could have been, might have been, in 1940. I think our world would have been completely different. Just like when I say in 1946 they put the word homosexual falsely into the Bible. That was a team of men that were put together to do the revision, hired and put into that to make sure they got that word, put it in our Bible. And that's why I think this country has festered such a hate. Because before that, guys, there were many, many people that were out and proud. Many, many people throughout the world. I'm not just talking Germany and Spain. I'm talking here too, that were out in the world. We have a couple different gay queer museums in this country. I would challenge you to do your research and know the facts of our beautiful queer history in this country and around the world, because we've always been here. But I think a film like this would have saved lives, and it would have helped long term in society. So I'm really super excited to see it. I really, really am. We did have a couple questions that came through, and some were negative, some were positive. I normally don't address the negative comments anymore. This is where I'm at in life. What you think of me, and I've said this before, is none of my business. If this website or podcast or journey is not for you, I bid you success and blessings elsewhere. So that's all I'm going to say about the negative comments. But I will say this. I am not trained in professional podcasting, whether it's the logistics of the app or how to, or just me talking into this vintage microphone. I am not trained. I did not go to school for this. This is purely a wonderful surprise of a hobby, especially after the radio station. So this has just been a fun journey for me. But there were some questions that came through. A couple of you had asked if I was going to do any more spotlights, music spotlights, because I know a lot of you have really enjoyed them. In the short distance, I'm going to say no, but I want to do more. I would love to do more shows that focuses on a queer artist, locally or around. I would be very, very open to that. As of right now, no show is planned, I would say, within the next 3 months, maybe for the rest of the year. I don't see us doing one of those, but, never say never. Some other questions came in about if I would continue discussing my father's passing and the drama that surrounded all that. And I will probably do another show once I have received my father's ashes, and when we go and spread them, and in the mountains he wanted us to do that. And so yes, there will definitely be an update show on my father's passing. Don't know when, but maybe in the next few months. So yes, that is in the works. So I wanted to answer that question. A couple other questions came through about becoming a pen pal. I love snail mail. I love it. If you want to write to me, that's easy. Just write the Alfords, ALFORD, P.O. Box 2214, Goodlettsville, Tennessee 37070. That would be really fun if you want to start writing the show the vintage way, the way I did things back in my time. But if you don't want to do that, of course, you can reach out to the show by voicemail or text 615-805-4363. And then, of course, we have an email address, the SayCo Show @writeme.com. A couple people have said that they were wondering why I didn't respond. They texted me and said they sent me a long email. You have got to put the in front of the name of the show. So it's the SayCo Show @writeme.com. But I try to reach out to everyone that sends a voicemail or a text or an email, and I think it would be a lot of fun to get a little closer to the listeners, because after all, this is your show. I'm just the middle guy. If you have an idea about content or show topics, etc., or just feedback, or just want to say howdy, or that you're going to be here in Nashville, please, please, please let me know. I'd love to hear from each of you. Now on to some exciting news. I hope it's exciting. I don't know. Maybe it's exciting just to me, but we've tried our best with social media. There's just not a lot of listeners out there that are looking for a feminine guy to be talking about his life, and so the numbers are pretty low, but we're extensively all over the internet, apps and websites and podcast sites and everything else. So we've really branched out because we were exclusively to the radio show, and when I left there because the radio show closed down, we turned to Podbean. So for a long time, those of you that have followed me from over there to over here, y'all know that I've always said that we are exclusively on Podbean. And that has not been the case the last few months. We just started branching out and looking at other avenues. I am paid through as a podcaster on Podbean through the year. And they stopped the live version of Podbean, which was very unfortunate because I loved doing the show live. I did my radio show live over there, and so that's just always been my thing. And so now I've just been recording live. There's no edits, and I just record the entire show and I upload it. So I think it gives it a very personal feel. And we're friends here, right? There's no reason to put 20 hours into a 1 hour show of editing and making it get all glossy and pretty. I think it's just best to talk, and whoever wants to listen, then wonderful. We've exhausted ourselves the best way I know how to get the content out there. We actually started pushing all the shows, as many as we can lately, on our YouTube channel as well. But what we have just decided on is that we're going to probably move into a .com, and that's where I would be uploading and doing exclusive work. And so a lot of the questions and text messages that I've received is, are you ever going to branch out to another mode of the interwebs? Or are you going to start a website? Or how can I write you in person? And so we're going to kind of go down that road. We're going to do a soft opening for the website in a pretty short amount of time, definitely before the year has ended. And then maybe next year we'll see how it goes, that it will be a full-fledged website, .com, etc. So that's the good news. The good news is there's going to be more content, more of me at your disposal, and where you don't have to venture off to find more info about me on different apps and click through the app and get to the community page and blah, blah, blah. Although it's just at a click of a button, but a lot of you have been asking if I was going to do a website. I'm not sure how big the website will be and exactly how much content there will be on there, but I think it would be a lot of fun to start posting letters to y'all and ideas, not so much in a blog type of way, but just kind of doing some posts and news updates and whatnot. I think it would be a lot of fun. Another person asked if I was looking for management or if I was open to community things like talent shows and being a judge for different things. And I am very open to emceeing and all that. I think that would be a lot of fun. Of course, it would have to really take a lot of time for me to figure out if where I was going to be is going to be safe and non-judgmental and probably more in my niche of a queer setting. But I'm very much open to that. So that's why I decided to share the P.O. box where, things could be sent to me to be read. You guys have always had my phone number and my email. And we're just going to see where it goes. Now, you know that I've been saying some changes are coming. With Podbean taking off the live feed, why would I stay at Podbean is, kind of where I'm at right now. So if I ever left Podbean, I would have to take my shows with me, which means probably, most likely, taking a good month of getting all those uploaded and changed over to either another website or YouTube or whatever. It would really probably take me a big chunk of time because I'm only home half the week. Other half I'm flying. But it would mean, switching things over. And I'm very, very open to that as well. And we'll see what the new year brings. Of course, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so the new HBO series is starting in December, so I'm not sure we're going to take a very extra long winter break hiatus like I have been in the past because we got to talk about Harry Potter. So I look forward to that as well. So, whatever the web page turns out to be, it I'm sure will challenge, channel itself in a way that will be creative and curious to y'all, and then also challenge myself of putting myself out there and tearing down the wall that I've built up and sharing more about myself and my struggles and my personal life, and where I won't bring down the the podcast with such off-key type topics. And so I think the website is going to be a safe place for all, and definitely more of the same content that you have followed me for and found on Podbean and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. So it's an exciting venture, and I wanted to tell y'all, about it, that the website is up and it's getting tweaked. And of course, the company that I'm with for a couple other websites that I'm involved with, they changed the entire format. So I am kind of having to relearn everything. So that's why I'm saying that we're going to have a soft opening to the website and just go super, super slow, just so it's pleasing to the eye, but also has enough content on there that you're going to want to go back and visit and put it in your favorite places, or make it an icon on your phone so you just have to push it once and you're there. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about it. And Lord knows if AI can help me in any way, it's gonna. But I so love this show. I love talking to y'all in every capacity possible. I have a really long list of, gay current events in the world that I wanted to talk about. And, but this show ran long, and so I'm going to stop here. But, in the next show or two, I think we should just kind of sit down and catch up on, queer news and just get caught up on what we've done, because we haven't done anything this quarter on that. So I think it'd be really good to talk about some, current events in our beautiful pink world. And so look forward to that as well. So for now, thank you so much for your support and your questions and the interaction that y'all are bringing. I really, 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 really appreciate it. Go out, buckle up, be safe. Come back and see me again here on this very quirky little channel. And I look forward to talking to y'all again soon. I'll talk to you later.